Hello, thank you for watching today. I'm Maxine Durand. I'm an independent candidate running for Idaho Governor in 2026. For those of you who are just now coming, welcome. For those of you who have already seen the announcement video, welcome back. This is just going to be kind of a weekly thing that we're going to try and do, kind of a fireside chat sort of thing. Just an opportunity for me to be a little bit more casual and just sort of talk about what we're up to, how the campaign is going, and any big items that come up or feedback that we get from you guys. So just to kind of start us off, I've got some notes on my tablet. So just kind of a recap. We launched on July 4th. Today is Thursday the 9th, 10th? Tomorrow will be a week since we launched. So just kind of a recap since we started. Got a few hundred followers on Facebook and Instagram. We've had a few $100s in donations. Thank you for that. And we feel like we're really building some good momentum. We're getting the views out there. People are seeing the announcement video that we put out. They're seeing the speech that I gave back in April at the Hands Off event. And so far, most of the feedback we've gotten has been pretty positive. We've had some mixed and negative feedback as well. I'm going to get to that a little bit later in here. But so far, it looks like we're doing okay. And I think for the kind of operation that we're running here, where it's, independent, kind of shoestring operation, I think things are going about as well as they can, short of us just having a massive cash influx. Our goals moving forward, we do want to try and up our following, so we're asking anybody who's currently following us, or if you're aware of us and you want to support, do us a favor. Things like Facebook, go in under the page for Durand for Idaho, click on the little ellipsis icon, there's a drop down, and there's a button to invite friends. If you're currently following the page, please go in and invite all of your friends and family. Bring them on board as well. The more likes and follows and shares and everything that we get, I know you've heard it a million times from all your favorite YouTubers, but it really does help. We need that visibility. If you think we're worth supporting, then we're worth sharing with your friends and family. We want to try and build that following up too, because the more following you have, the more preferential your content is treated by all the different algorithms out there. I think Facebook likes to have you at 1,000 followers or more, and then they start prioritizing your content differently. As we go forward, we'll probably start putting some money behind the advertising, but since we're a pretty low budget operation and just sort of starting out with nothing, building this from scratch with your momentum and your help, we want to try and avoid that as much as possible, at least for the beginning of the campaign. So right now we really are just relying on that organic, individual people, talking to friends and family, bringing people along for the ride and telling them why this is worth supporting. The next thing we're looking forward to as well, we have some stuff coming up over the next couple of months, but after that, getting into the fall, things will start to cool down a little bit. People will be back from summer vacations. We want to start doing more rallies and meetup events. So initially we'll start doing this in the Twin Falls area because that's where I'm most known and that's where I'm located. But as we go forward, trying to do more of those events in Boise, Idaho Falls, Pocatello, Moscow, Coeur d'Alene, just anywhere in the state. So if you are watching and you know a friendly place that will be willing to host us for a coffee, meet and greet kind of thing, or if you know a place that would be helpful to have a rally that would be able to host a handful of people, a town hall kind of thing, let us know. Reach out to the campaign, shoot us an email or send us a private message, however you want to do it, and hook up, because we kind of need all the help we can get. Especially in some of those smaller to mid-sized towns. Boise, I probably know a few places off the top of my head that might be willing to help out, but you know your communities better than I do. If you want to see us in your town, let us know where we can show up. We're also going to start doing more content specific to different policy platforms as part of the campaign. So, like I said, we're going to try and do these fireside chat style things maybe once a week, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how people react. But we also want to start having some specific videos where they're a little bit more formal, and I can talk about specific planks in my platform. So we'll do one on public transportation, we'll do one on education, one on healthcare, and that gives me a chance to kind of dissect the issue, talk about why it matters, why I'm running on it, and what I plan to do either with your support or through administrative effort if elected governor. Next thing I wanted to get into, just some of the comments from social media that we've seen, and thank you for the feedback that you've given. Comments are a really good way to support. I've seen a few things talking about, people concerned about the idea that, look, this is Idaho, this is a very conservative state, obviously very Republican dominated. is it problematic that I, running as an independent and as a socialist with a lot of lefty policies, right? Is it problematic that I am effectively splitting the Democratic vote? And I wanted to talk about that for a second because I think there's a couple of things there. One is just kind of the dynamics of partisan politics in America overall, but like particularly in Idaho. And also part of the reason why I'm running as an independent in the first place rather than going through like the Democratic primary process. So first off, for Idaho specifically, I'm going to be honest, I don't really have a lot of faith in the Democratic Party in the state of Idaho to get much accomplished. I don't want to be mean, and I don't want to belittle anybody who's been working very hard for the Democratic Party here to try and make them a success. But my entry into politics and like, you know, actively being engaged with it largely came out of the Bernie Sanders run in 2016. And so I remember, I lived in the Boise area at the time, and I remember going to the Idaho Democratic Caucus in 2016. And I remember standing in line for hours at the stadium downtown, waiting to get let in. And I remember when we all got in and they had to close the doors because they were at capacity, I remember the local party chair standing up in front of the crowd and saying, yeah, you know, this is great. We love the energy. We love what we're seeing. We love how many people turned out, especially young people. But no matter who wins in the primary, we're going to throw all of our support behind them, right? And he got booed. And I felt like, for me, since that was, you know, my first time really getting involved at that level, like going to a caucus, getting involved in the actual like party nomination process rather than just voting in the general election, I felt like that was really telling for the kind of moment we were in. And that was almost 10 years ago now, and I don't really feel like much has changed. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think things have gotten worse. You know, since I brought up Bernie Sanders, right, it wasn't that long ago we had the rally that Bernie Sanders and AOC did in Boise, or Meridian, actually. And I think they had about 12,000 people was the final count. That was a huge success. I don't care how red our state is. You get 12,000 people to show up for Bernie Sanders. That's important. And I have some friends, for now, who are within the party structure for the state Democratic Party. And I asked some of them about that. Like, what do you guys think of this? And, you know, do you have any plans to capitalize on this? Because this is momentum, right? Like, even if you don't necessarily agree with Bernie's politics, that's momentum, and it's under the big tent that is the Democratic Party. So what are your plans to capitalize on the moment, get some messaging out there, and, you know, really get people excited now that you've had this happen? And my friend was like, well, you know, we're going to do some messaging. That's it. They don't have a plan. They really don't. They don't have a plan at all. They really think that they can just coast to the midterms and that the national pushback to Donald Trump's policies is going to be enough that even at the state level, they'll see people turn out and vote Democrat just because. That's not a plan. You know, that's not a platform. And I think that a lot of people who would vote Democrat are pretty disappointed with the Democratic Party right now, especially in a state like ours where it doesn't even really feel like the Democratic Party at the state level here is trying. So I don't feel like I should really worry too much about splitting the Democratic ticket. I think the issue is more about, do I have policies that Democrats or Republicans or independents would support, regardless of whether or not there's an R or a D next to my name. And that's also why I'm running as an independent, because I feel like I have a lot of passion, I have a lot of energy behind this, I believe in what we're doing, and I feel like if I went through the Democratic primary process here, it would probably be, well, you know, Maxine is really motivated, but she's a little young, and, you know, maybe we can get someone who could appeal to more center candidates, or more center voters, right? I just don't feel like, the Democratic Party in Idaho is really equipped to meet the moment, and I don't think that the kind of platform I would want to run on is really compatible with a lot of, I guess, mainstream Democratic thinking right now. So that's kind of my take on that. You know, if you have other thoughts, please let us know. I'm sure there's people who are validly concerned about that, and look, you got to understand, I'm not trying to make our situation worse. I just feel like I don't think we can be hurt by trying. Next comment. So I saw a few comments that were not so nice, and so I'm just going to talk about the elephant in the room. the trans issue. A lot of comments that we got, particularly on some of the Reddit pages, were pretty anti-LGBTQ, pretty anti-trans specifically. And I'm going to be real with you guys. I'd really prefer it if people didn't say hateful things. But I don't really mind it so much, in the sense that the nastier you say things about me, the meaner you get. As soon as somebody starts talking to me, or they see something like a policy platform I'm running on, or they see my impact on people, right? Like I say this from experience, right? Like I've been trans and in public service for a little while now. People pay attention, and so if they are seeing all of this negative feedback, if they're seeing you say hateful things about me, about trans people, and then they get to know me a little bit and they realize, oh, like Maxine's actually not so bad, that just makes you look like a fool. Like, they're going to remember the things that you said. They're going to remember the things that people like you said. And so then once they get over that initial, shock of, like, meeting me, or like, once they've actually gotten to know me a little bit, they're going to start questioning, well, why are you saying stuff like that, right? What's your real motivation? What are you afraid of? So, like I said, I'd prefer if people weren't bigoted. But if you're gonna be bigoted, I mean, you might as well lean into it. I mean, by all means, I live for your hatred, and the people who are actually going to take the time to think about things, they're going to realize that you're full of shit, frankly. So, if you're out there and you see comments that are saying nasty things about me, you don't need to white knight. It's okay. I've got a pretty thick skin. If it affects other people, hey, do what you want, but, like, try not to worry about this too much. I was pretty confident that there were going to be people who had nasty things to say about me just because I exist. They're out there. I don't think they're the majority of people, and I'm pretty confident from the last couple of years of public life that I've had that they'll go away in time. And a lot of them will probably figure things out eventually, but we just don't have to listen to them. Last thing, and this was kind of cool actually. We're not even a full week in yet, and we got a shout out from Game Grumps. That was awesome. If you read my About page, I'm a huge fan of Game Grumps. That was really cool. And thank you for the shout out. That was really nice of you to do that, and just super grateful. If it's not presumptuous, I'd love to be on Guest Grumps, but hey, cross that bridge later. Next thing I wanted to talk about. This is just something that's been in the news lately. So if you're in Idaho, you've probably seen some of the stuff going around about the "Everyone Belongs Here" slogan. It came up with a teacher in the Boise area, I believe, and she faced some pretty serious trouble because she had a sign that said "Everyone belongs here," right? And now it's one of those things that's coming up because you've got the far right that's making a whole thing about that. Our Attorney General's office said that the phrase "everyone belongs here" is Democrat ideology or liberal ideology and not to be shown in schools. I just feel like that's one that we should probably talk about because, look, I don't think that you get to be... I don't think you can be the country that has a big statue in your harbor that says, like, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. But then on the other hand, you're trying to say, not everyone belongs here, right? You're trying to be exclusive. You're trying to deny rights to certain people or say that we shouldn't celebrate that. You can't be both of those things. You have to pick one. And I, for one, would much rather live in the country with the statue in the harbor than the country that's trying to tell people, you can't be proud of this idea that we're multicultural, right? Like, the whole thing is that we're supposed to be the melting pot. Why would you ever be against the idea that we are, right? And especially since Idaho, and in Twin Falls specifically, right? Like, I'm from the Magic Valley. We have a refugee center here, and shout out to those guys. They're doing really difficult work. I've worked with them in the past in my capacity running the transit system for the city of Twin Falls. Those people need help. They're here because they have to be. They're here because war, famine, disease, you name the reason. They're here because they needed help, and the United States stepped in to help them. And Idaho, Twin Falls specifically, but like Idaho is one of those states that's been really welcoming and really forward about allowing those people to come here and helping them resettle and become part of our community. And that's something that we should be tremendously proud of. Because I think a lot of these people would want to be at home if they could. But that's not an option, and so they're trying to become Americans. They're trying to become Idahoans. We should be there for them in every way that we can. And this idea that not everyone belongs here, I mean, it's on my website. There's a picture of me standing in front of a sign that says it. Like, everyone belongs here. And we really need to make a point of advocating for that, because there are people that are trying to convince you that we can be selective. And when you start being selective about who belongs and who is and isn't an American, you start going down a really dark path. One that I think we're already quite a ways down, and that I would like us to turn back from. Last thing I want to talk about before we sign off for the day. I've talked about this a little bit in a couple of things. I don't know how much of those videos have come out yet, but one of the big things about supporting my campaign, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think I had a shot at winning. But, and this is also to kind of address some of the concerns about, you know, this is a long shot, right? Like, I'm an independent candidate running in a very red state that's very Republican controlled. I get that. And so my other side to this is, whatever comes out of this campaign, the donor lists, the volunteers, the name recognition, my platform, everything, as soon as the election is over, one way or another, whether I win or not, all of this gets rolled over into a new organization. We're going to look for Idaho-based candidates who are going to run on an independent ticket, who are going to run on a platform similar to what I'm running on now. Hopefully we'll add things over time and, you know, keep it current, right? But the idea being that, like, there shouldn't need to be an R or a D next to your name to have success politically in this state. And if you're willing to run on the kind of policies that we're backing with my campaign, and you're willing to run as an independent, everything that we build over the next roughly year and a half is yours. We'll help you fundraise. We'll help you connect with local communities and find places to do rallies, and you know, give you all of the support, frankly, that we currently, as, you know, a brand new enterprise, don't currently have. So I just want to make sure people understand that, because there's this idea that, like, I'm just kind of wasting my time here. I don't think that's true. I think I have a real shot at winning if we do this the right way, but I also think that whether I win or not, the machinery that we create through this process might actually be more important than whether or not I win. So we're here for both. And I want to make sure that people know that when they support me, because it can't just be about me, right? Everywhere I go, I need 10 people to follow me. And those 10 people need to start dragging people along with them. This is a movement. This is about changing the politics in our state and trying to build something new that isn't just tied to Republican or Democrat. So if you believe in that, now's your chance to get in on the ground floor. And I recognize that, yes, like, I am literally filming this in a garage. Yes, we have room to grow. Those things will come in time. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not quitting. Please don't quit on us. We're just getting started. And with that, I'd like to just give one more final call out. Please take a look at our website if you haven't already. We're always making tweaks and we need more feedback. We've had some questions about our platform and maybe adding some things. DuranForIdaho.com, take a look. Just leave us your suggestions. Make sure you follow us on all the social medias. We have a YouTube channel now too. We're going to start posting content there. And make sure that you share with all of your friends. If you'd like to volunteer or help with the campaign in any way, please just reach out to us through email or any of the social media channels that we currently have. And I promise you there is work for you to do. Just get in touch with us and we will give you your marching orders. But yeah, that's it for today. Look for us again in maybe about a week. We're going to try and do these week to week as much as we have time and content for. And we really look forward to seeing you there. So with that, thank you for watching.